Hello, and welcome back to Alice the Cat's Red Pen editing service. On today's episode, it is March 3rd, 2023, and we're going to get right into editing here in just a moment. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I auto-programmed my open broadcasting system to play a little bit of guitar, which I cannot hear, but I know it's playing because I see that it's playing, so I think that's pretty cool. Like, I've been really trying to update each and every thing to just be like, even just a little bit better every single episode, just one tiny little upgrade. So I'll have to work on mastering the sound. But anyways, warning, the following program is recorded live and is not intended for children. This program may at any time contain graphic and dark content that may be distressing for some viewers and against the terms of service for some platforms. Thank you again for joining us. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. If you would like to sign up, please check at the end. There will be some notes on how you can sign up. All right, so let's just jump right into this. I have not read a word of it, and yeah, here we go. We're just going to edit through until I'm bored, or until a half an hour, like 35 minutes, whichever comes first. Like 35 minutes, and then until I get bored. Someone was talking recently about how 80% of the problems can get solved in 20% of the time, and I firmly believe that's true. All right, so let's see. The hands of the clock on the tower crept towards 12. I actually don't mind this as an intro. As they did, the lights of the surrounding buildings gradually turned red. This is actually not terrible. The new cooperative municipality was a vertical city, closing down for the evening. Okay, so we're in dystopian communism land. Okay. It was a nightly routine. A warning to go home, that danger might soon ensue. I'm not so sure that I like this part, but I don't dislike it either. We'll keep reading. Past midnight, the streetlights in the city dimmed to red before turning off for curfew, except on one road, of course. Well, I don't think it is, of course. Actually, I think I would cross that out. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. So I just want to say that I actually really like this. So personally, I don't want to plug myself, but I write cyberpunk, and I also write a red light, not just red light district, but like red lights of the future. Like, people are going to want, they're not going to want these like huge bright white LEDs. Like, they're going to look back on that the way that we look back at like coal engines or like steam engines. Like, they're just archaic and we don't use them anymore. So I really like this start. It's definitely creepy. It's well written. The commas are placed well. There's a dash right here. So we're off to a good start. I don't know if I like this part though. The except on one road, of course. Like, it's not really of course. Okay, with limited space on the ground, the NCM, I assume this is like the dystopian government, had forced to grow rampantly upwards, and the halo covered above it all. I wonder if that's like literally like the halo, like from if you've played the game Halo. A ring road suspended in the sky. Okay, so it is. It's literally the halo from Halo. The NCM's proudest feat of modern engineering, a glowing accessory for a perfect place. This is the same as the dash. It's kind of just like, there's a bit of a repetition here with the grammatical style. It's not necessarily the end of the world. It's not necessarily even a bad thing, but it is of note because if it continues, then I will want to have harped on this now, because I'm noticing it as a pattern already. Okay, Maeve, our main character, watched it all from the road of the library. As the lights darkened, the wind let out a sigh of relief. Okay, so this is what they call a sympathetic fallacy, I think it's called. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what it's called, where you are basically personifying a character or the world itself's mood through an action that is like a natural fallacy, like an appeal to naturalism, and I don't like it. It's cliche, it's confusing, and it doesn't further the plot or the character. It's distracting. So I recommend you remove this part. Similarly, I also, I think I'm just going to do this. Oh. Hold on, I'm glad I did that. Let's change to suggesting mode. How do I do that? Suggesting. Here we go. Okay, so green is bad, remember. All right, let's keep going. So Maeve watched it all from the roof of the library. Like, I think that's okay. I think that because we don't actually, like, we have a really good image of, like, the lights going out, a curfew starting, but we have no idea of, like, of course, one street, the library is, like, we don't really know why. There's no purpose to this. As the lights darkened, the wind let out a sigh of relief. Yeah, we're going to cross that part out. My goodness. And its breath pushed her forward. So her is Maeve. Maybe our character's a chick. Her back arched against the third floor fall in front of her. Oh, 30 floor fall in front of her. She wondered quietly how many bones an impact like that would break. I kind of like that, actually. That's good personification of like a character's inner monologue. Like, it's just like, it's so grim too. It's just like, she's like leaning there, she's like, I wonder if I would die. Like, that's pretty edgy. So it definitely matches the tone. Then she thought of Lana and stepped down. Okay, so we've got like, maybe like an ex-girlfriend, like a dead kid, or like someone in her past that she like misses or something. She closed the door to the roof behind her, and the lock snapped shut decisively. I actually like that. I like this a lot, actually. Thanks to her hours spent in the library, she'd become familiar enough to the staff that she was able to persuade an assistant to give her roof access. Ever since, she liked to think of the rooftop as her own. I completely understand this. This is good. In the study area, several dedicated students remained, the unlucky ones whose exams ran on longer than everyone else's before the summer break. What? Oh, several students remained, the unlucky ones who... Okay, I see. All Maeve's classmates were out and celebrating their new freedom, except her. She didn't go to parties anymore. Okay. There were other things she did to unwind. She used to attend weekly screenings at the old cinema with Lana, before it had been closed and replaced with an entertainment center showing only new authority-approved films. Okay, so we're definitely 1984. She was forced to turn to the library instead. Lana stopped coming along, associating the building with the university. She found elaborate ways to avoid ever voluntarily stepping foot in it. Lana found reasons to? I guess Lana's still alive. Like, we have no context to who Lana is, which I guess is the point, but it's not really an intriguing reason why I'm reading on. I'm reading on because I have to, not because I'm engaged. I think the world build here is better than the characters so far, and I think the premise so far is non-existent. That's beginning to be a problem because we don't have a plot. The library kept a private collection of old films, which were available only for research purposes. Maeve's repeated access applications were denied until Lana, a literature student, had written to the management claiming we were working on a cross-curricular project together. I think this should say they. I think they refers... Claiming, like, I understand it as we, but I think it's they. I don't know. This is confusing. Because we're a disconnected narrator, right? Like, this isn't about like pronouns or gender here. This is about it's the point of view is in question. Like, if we're third person, I think it would be they. I'm not an editor though. I'm just gonna leave it because I think it should be they. It feels like it should be. Maeve, a business student, needed to be granted access to the film's collection without delay to kickstart her creative process, etc., etc. An absurd plan that could only ever work with someone like Lana. I think we just crossed this part out because we don't give a shit about Lana, and this is just dragging the story. It's kind of obvious, like she's a go-getter. And we can even put the information here, like Lana, a business student. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. Maeve, a business student, need to be granted. Yeah, I think we could just leave it like this. It was just another thing Maeve and Lana... sorry, I'm very dyslexic. I should have given that... In fact, I'm going to put that disclaimer on the main page of my little kitty cat page. It was just another thing Maeve had Lana to thank for. Her home, her hobbies, her life in the city. Debts she could never repay. Well, she's thinking about, like, killing herself, like, jumping off, right? Or she's not thinking about it because of her, I guess? I don't know. When Maeve was finally granted access to the library's film collection, she discovered it was piteously small. But this didn't bore her. It was comforting knowing exactly what to expect, how each story would end. I don't really understand what we're getting at here. Like, we've now gone 3 paragraphs in a row that I don't think we need. She unlocked the door and headed down to the screening room. She found the lights usually switched on. Like, being told that something doesn't bore her doesn't interest me. I don't know. It was claustrophobic, low ceiling place, the air so still that she could almost tell if it had been disturbed since she'd last been there. That's very confusing. You're gonna have to change what this says. Like you can describe the air as still. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like the way you're done it, it's a little strange. Typically it hadn't. I get what you're trying to do here, but it's not working. She was the only person there for leisure. Telling, not showing, no imagery, no plot, boring. But that night something was different. She was not alone. I think again, telling, not showing. I think what you should do here, this is just recommendation, I think here's what you need to do. Like that's the clickbait headline, right? Like that's what you want to write, like a sentence about that. Like that's the clickbait. A stranger stood in the corner, papers fanned from his hand, clenched taut, remaining still while he paced. The door swung shut behind Maeve, announcing her entrance, but he didn't startle. He'd heard her coming. I don't think we can do this because it's omniscient. Like we shouldn't have that information if he's not reacting, you know what I mean? We have Maeve's information, Maeve's POV. She observed him for a moment while gauging the risk. What risk? A spotless white shirt, top button undone, a face built evenly from strong lines. He doesn't sound like a communist. He smiled slightly, almost apologetically, as if acknowledging this was her place, that he'd invaded it. Oh, and he'd invaded it. Did he know her? Had someone given him her name? Was he waiting there for her? Those are all valid questions. How much danger had she put herself in by being in that room alone with him? I think this is an invalid question because it's implicit, and stating it outright is telling us without showing us that she's fearful. Her body twitched with the... Okay, so we have it here, but it's following this up, and I think it makes it redundant. Her body twitched with the urge to attack, to make the first move, to steal the upper hand. She resisted. I get it, but like this seems choppy. Like 1 minute we're like, oh, who's this guy? The next minute we're like, I'm going to attack him. Seems a little bit weird. Instead, she flinched away and scurried back up the steps, silently muttering bitter resentments to herself as she went. Yeah, it's a very dense sentence. It works. It's grammatically correct, but it's very dense, and I don't know. It may be distracting. There were still... So I'm also noticing some weird paragraphing here. Like that could have just been the way that I copied it, but like there's too many indents here. Like I don't know. It just seems weird. There were still people around on the main floor of the library. She'd be safest to stay there. It was too late into the night. If she left alone and he followed me... Huh? Okay, I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to do like inner monologue thoughts, but you're mixing it with narration. You can't do that. This is actually grammatically correct. If she left alone, comma, and he followed me, ... Yeah, you can't do this. Not in my opinion, at least. I'm not an editor. I'm a cat. Meow. She took shelter between the shelves and leaned against one. Heaving air into her lungs. White wall. She pictured the wall and obstinately disregarded any thought that appeared in front of it. Calm down, don't think, don't feel, white wall. This is how we survive. Okay, so we're doing 1985 or 1984 plus The Gray. What's that movie with the Giver? Yeah, The Giver. We're doing The Giver. Eventually, okay, so here's my issue so far. What the fuck is going on? Who the fuck is this character? Why do we care about Lana? And why do we care that she's scared of some guy? Like, I get it, it's dystopian, it's like, you know, like, oh no, it's a conspiracy. But I'm not engaged with this. Like, okay, there's a curfew, but she's a student and she should otherwise be safe, but now she's like freaking out, she's like studying shit she shouldn't be. It's like, she's like, I'm trying to watch my porn, but this man is here, what do I do? It's just weird, the whole thing's weird. Eventually, her breath steadied, her eyes opened. She was still in the library, safe. Like this could be erotica, you know? Like what am I reading? She headed across the room, out of view from the screening door room, and gathered some books to occupy herself with. Word by word, she digested each piece of information until it stuck inside. This is definitely erotica. catching her attention and dragging it back to the page each time it strayed. Like the subtext here is that she's like, I don't know, having sex in her mind. That's what I'm getting from this. I mean, not really. I'm just bored. Hours passed and the library emptied around her. The threat subsided and in its place, exhaustion set in. Okay, so now it's even more boring. So now we've done all of this for nothing. We've done all of this for nothing. Gathering up the books, she headed towards the checkout, rummaging in her pocket for her drive. A pebble-shaped device that unified identification, payment keys, and technology in one place from one fingerprint. Yeah, I mean... Okay, fine. I'm not impressed with that, though. She held it up to the checkout machine, and a message appeared on the screen identifying her, Maeve Stark. Borrower has maximum materials on loan and 2 materials overdue. Titles, Business Ethics and Social Responsibility and Principles of Corporate Governance. Return overdue materials and pay outstanding charges before further borrowing. Maeve released a grunt of frustration and began collecting the books to return. Do you need some help? Nope, nobody's asking. Just, do you need some help? She whipped around, holding a book to her chest as if it might offer some protection. Protection from what? She's in a library. No one's attacking her. The stranger, who had suddenly appeared behind her, took a step closer but came up short when he noticed Maeve began backing away. I don't really understand, but came up short. Maybe like stopped suddenly? I don't know. What? The word hissed between her gritted teeth. Hissed between it. I don't know. Something weird about this. I can loan those for you if your account is maxed out. He motioned to the checkout. Her eyes flicked over him in suspicion. Are you? Did someone send you here? He stared at her blankly. Send me. If he was lying, he was good at it. It should be removing the paragraph here. It's not letting me do it, but yeah, it's not formatting. It's not letting me do it, but these 2 lines, if he was lying, he was good at it. You've been hanging around me. Yeah, I don't know what it's doing. I'm not going to dwell on it, but you have to change the paragraphing there based on the antecedent of who's speaking, because like one moment it's him, like he stared at her blankly, send me. If he was lying, he was good at it. You've been hanging, honestly, I guess you could put it up there too. I don't know. Seems weird. We're the only 2 people here. He seemed to notice the panic his statement provoked, and something in his expression softened. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry. He laughed to himself. Clearly my chivalry needs some work. This fucking writing needs some work. Chivalry. She might as well have spat the word at him. But he just laughed again, brushed it off. Her terse response, like a speck of dust from his suit. I get it, but he's nobody. That's the problem. There's no motivation behind any of this. We have no characters, no context, no world. We just know that it's like dystopian, the government spies on you and there's a curfew and all of your stuff is collectivist. Big deal. Yeah, that's what I was aiming for anyway. It took her a moment to quiet the alarm bells in her mind and formulate a reply. Maybe you've chosen the wrong target. His voice dropped lower. Conspiratorially. Oh, now we're just using the word conspiratorially outright. We're like telling the audience it's conspiratorially. Even better. Is there another approach you'd be more receptive to? Oh, so he's flirting with her. Ooh. For a moment she hesitated. Her focus lingered on the definition of his draw, the assured lift of his brow. They're definitely flirting. She's into him. She's like checking him out. She's like, nice eyebrows. No, she said sharply. Okay, so this is a problem with the dialogue. It should be like that. Because it is not an independent clause. Like, she is not the beginning of the new sentence. It's no, comma, she said sharply before her mind could change. It's not no, period. She said sharply before her mind could change. She knew there were multiple ways the night could end. That's definitely a red light district thing. That's like, you could put this like in kanji on like a whorehouse and it would be like, there are multiple ways the night could end. And that'd be like your whorehouse's slogan. It would match the red lights at the beginning of this boring story. That taking one risk didn't mean her signature on a contract, another weird sentence fragmenty thing. That part of her wasn't done telling the audience. There was more that she wanted to know telling the audience, but she also knew deeply that she didn't live in the kind of place where strangers could be trusted. Right. This is implicit and we don't need to be told this. She's already skeptical. We definitely don't need this to be told to us. Abandoning the books, she slipped past him and departed briskly without glancing over her shoulder to see. So let's recap here. Girl walks into basement, walks into room, sees some dude, everyone else leaves, and then he confronts her, and then they have a conversation about nothing. Oh, also there's conspiracies in the background, by the way, guys. It's really dangerous. It's like the Cold War. It's like, you can't get caught, guys. It's like CIA shit and stuff. Yet certain that if she did, she'd see him stood, smiling, blah, 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 blah. Did you hear back from that job yet? Ah, I see. And now she's surprised. The question appeared to catch Lana by surprise. Wait. Did I miss something? Okay, I can't tell if I'm just like severely misreading this or if this name is not supposed to be here. Our main character is Maeve. My understanding was that Lana made excuses not to show up. It's possible that she did show up and I just didn't understand that, but I don't think so. For the last 10 minutes, she'd be telling Maeve about a student in her prose seminar. What? Are we in like a new chapter here? What's happening? Are we like a new chapter like right here? Whatever. I'm just going to move on because I don't want to dwell, but I'm really confused. She found their work... There's always one word that gets me in every single episode. In this episode, it's going to be whatever this word is. Circuitous? Circuitous, right?
Circuitous.
Yeah, circuitous. Circuitous. Of a route or journey longer than the most direct way. Circuitous. Okay, cool. Now that's a cool word to learn. I kind of knew that, but kind of didn't know that. My life is circuitous. This story, believe it or not, is very circuitous. And felt particular. Actually, that's going to be the main title of this. Like a circuitous dystopian. And felt. She found the work circuitous and felt particularly unimpressed that the university hadn't hired seminar leaders with enough acumen to have shared her feeling. Man, we're just full of big words tonight. Let's look up this one. I know this one, but I just want to look it up. The ability to make good judgments and quick decisions, typically in a particular domain.
Acumen.
All right, yeah, fair enough. It's a weird word choice, but it does work in this context. Maeve had been nodding along, agreeing with her in periodic hums, monosyllabic, but encouraging. I kind of like that, actually. It's goofy, it's overwritten, but it's kind of characterizing. This seemed to be a default setting that she occasionally switched on to when Lana spoke about something passionately. I think that's kind of implicit. Maeve liked listening to Lana talk. Okay, well, that kind of... yeah, the above sentence disagrees with this, so just get rid of that. When they first met, Maeve was so used to staying quiet. She was entranced by the long sentences. Actually, yeah, you can put it back. She was entranced by the long sentences Lana could pull from thin air and deliver with such confidence that she was being listened to. I'm also this type of whack job charismatic. People listen to me just ramble. But there were other times too in which Lana, tiny little bit of an error here. Just typographical error. Lana would instead be content making incoherent little remarks only to herself, as if her intelligence was so abundant inside her that there was no need to seek further insight from external sources. I don't know if I like this way of personifying intelligence. I get it, I do, but I don't, because it's the perception of Maeve, right? It's Maeve's perception that she thinks she's smarter than everyone else. She's muttering to herself. I also do this. I mostly talk to myself, but I'm not sure it's because my intelligence is abundant. I think it's just because I'm autistic and dyslexic. And a cat. Okay, the job. Oh no. Lana shook her head. blowing out cigarette smoke. Okay, so we're literally the cigarette smoke. Like, I was doing it before, like, you heard me make that noise. That was me blowing an air cigarette, but you can't see me, so we're literally an air cigarette, girl. Okay, the job. Oh no. Lana shook her head, blowing out cigarette smoke as she did, so that it formed a cloud around her face. Ooh. I don't want to give my time to someone else. It doesn't sit right with me. I have no idea what she's supposed to sound like. Maeve smiled wanly. What the fuck? That's not a word. This is not a word. Is it? Is this a word? In a way that shows no energy and enthusiasm, she smiled wanly. Okay, yeah, oh, never mind. I am incorrect. It is a word. Lana's mother had coerced her into agreeing that she'd encourage Lana to find a job, or at least attempt to. So now we're on Lana's mother? We don't know anything about Lana and we don't care. Well, you aren't just giving that time for nothing. Time is money. Lana's eyes narrowed, perhaps sensing the coup. My time isn't money. She pulled her skirt along her teeny legs, covertly hiding the rip in her tights. It was spring. Lana had recently undergone her biannual wardrobe transformation. Is she bisexual? Like, this is definitely flirting, right? This is definitely two chicks flirting. At the briefest suggestion of warmer weather, her collection of dark, heavy clothing was packed into a box. Ooh. In its place, another box of clothes had been opened, and she'd been seen only in different tones of pastel colors since. All right, fine. So the most characterizing thing that we know about this chick is, like, she's really smart, she talks to herself, and she's got a good sense of style. Like, that's a paragraph, not 5 fucking pages. I admire your dedication to your beliefs. So principled, Maeve quipped, plucking the cigarette from Lana's fingers and taking a long drag. She smoked almost exclusively around Lana. I think we can remove this, but I get why you included it. Find a better way to word this, I think. But, she exhaled, continuing. This is a typographical error or grammatical error. Because it's the clause is not ending here. So it's like, but, comma, she exhaled. Shouldn't be capitalized. I hate to break it to you. Everyone's time is money. Yeah, you don't... Yeah, fine. We can do the dramatic cigarette thing, I guess. We're doing the dramatic cigarette thing. It's funny because I'm usually yelling at authors, like, literally using the cigarette meme as the meme, saying, like, don't do this. But, like, in this case, you're actually doing it. So it's like, okay, dude, I guess you're doing it. There are always ways to make money that don't involve working yourself into an early grave. She laughed, sinking back into her chair. Maeve recognized instantly that Lana... And we can just remove this part. What Lana referred to, and her jaw caught with tension. Please don't start this again, she groaned. Okay, Lana sighed and rolled her head so it leant against the arm of the cafe chair. I'm not starting with anything, she replied smartly. Just reminding you. There's more than one way to make a living. Okay. Maeve looked at her and tried to imagine her as a Blanchardist. Okay. Does this mean what I think it means? As a Blanchardist, like the sex psychologist, but he was like a quack? We gotta look this up. Am I right about this? Yeah, okay. Blanchard's transsexual topology on Wikipedia. I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, but just to show you what this is. Ray Blanchard was a sexologist, allegedly. He's more of an asshole, but... So he categorized trans people, specifically trans women, into 2 groups: homosexual transsexuals who are attracted exclusively to men and are feminine in both behavior and appearance, and autogonophilic transsexuals who are experiencing sexual arousal at the idea of having a female body, or autogonophilia. Okay, this is so just for those who don't know anything about like trans people, this is outright bigotry, and this quack science has been largely debunked, and this man is hated by all of modern scientists. And so yeah, I mean, if you're really curious, you can go read this page, but it's just funny seeing like Blanchardism pop up. Like, it's just such a niche thing. But yeah, I mean, like, there's like a ton of research into this, and it's all quack science. Like, it's all just a whole bunch of bullshit that was just like specifically to make gay people and homosexual people look worse than they are in the eyes of the general populace, but also to demoralize transsexuals, now known as transgenders, from undergoing a type of transition that would otherwise be life-saving. And it's basically gaslighting. So like Blanchardism, or like Blanchardist as I've heard it, is like being a gaslighter who is explicitly bigoted against trans people. I have no idea if that's what we're reading here. I just to point it out. Also, Maeve, for those who don't know, is generally speaking, sometimes at least, a trans non-binary name, like a chosen name. So like it's possible your parents assigned you the name Maeve, but I'll tell you, for every person that was born and like their birth certificate says Maeve, there's like 10 other Maeves out there who chose their name because it's like gender ambiguous, or so. So just as a queer timeout. Wild gray hair chipped paint on her nails. I don't understand. Wild gray hair chipped paint on her nails. As a oh. It plays off the last sentence. Imagining her as a Blanchardist, wild gray hair, chipped paint on her nails, a dangerously pretty face, a sprightly nose, a sprinkle of freckles across its bridge. She was so familiar. It was difficult to place her in the context of something she hated so deeply. Blanchardism was a movement as old as the city itself. The NCM was pulled together from the leftovers of environmental crises, pandemic, and war by a group of wealthy families. Oh God, could you imagine if like the entire city was just like foundationally like predicated upon like hating on trans people? That would be way too similar to reality. It wouldn't be 1984 anymore. It would just be America. The city boundary was built, a wide circle of fencing and walls that protected the NCM from anything that still survived beyond it, enclosing its citizens within. Like, honestly, I don't mind this far in getting a little bit of an info dump, but to be clear, this is an info dump, and most of this would be better off with like dialogue or like a news article in the background, like something to like, as you know, Bob, blah blah in this world. Like, it's better than just like outright hitting us with this, but like, fine, fair enough. At least we know like now what Blanchardism is, since it's not what I thought it was going to be. This was known as the rebuild. Like many things in the NCM, wasn't discussed openly. Maeve had never been sure how much Lana even knew about it. History might have been afforded by Lana's city education, but not where Maeve came from. Everything she knew was taken from books. When Maeve didn't respond, Lana sighed and placed her empty coffee cup deliberately on the table, its rims stained with lipstick. This is still flirting in my mind. Listen, I get that you hate it. I do. Obviously I do. But what I'm trying to say is, maybe you don't have to agree with it all to benefit from it. Like, what better way to say fuck you to Blanchardism than to profit off it? It was difficult to define simply what Blanchardism was all about, and perhaps that was its appeal. There wasn't a code of conduct or one singular belief system. Some members were introverted, inscrutable, seen only in brief glances. Others enjoyed a celebrity status, and their teams of staff were well known. There seemed to be little that unified Blanchardism as one movement, but it was clear in the way they held themselves, the way they dressed. Blanchardism opened doors. Blanchardists had things and access to things we never would. Okay, so it's basically the Illuminati, and I don't think we need any of this. Yeah, that's definitely how it works, Maeve muttered. And then continuously removed some of the scorn from her tone before proceeding. I get what you're going for here, but I think the word continuously as an adverb needs to get cut. And then removed. Yeah, just then removed some of the scorn from her tone. I think you can cut all those filler words out. I think this sentence flows better this way. If you're going to do this at all, like, I actually think that of all the times that I've seen people break dialogue apart, this is something that actually matters when breaking dialogue apart, is like, how does their tone change? Do they do an emotive action that's relevant to the plot or to the scene? So anyways, there's no stakes in this story, by the way. Like, what are the stakes here? Who are these people? Why do we care? Still don't know. I know you like Cole. Oh, great, a third character we don't know about. I know you like Cole, but I don't know if he's good enough reason to risk getting so close to it all. You know who he works for. I translate this as, I know you like boys, but I like you, and I don't want you to go with boys. Okay, now there's a fourth character. Some other rando was a famous Blanchardist. It was known that her staff were given more freedom than most. I don't even know how to say that, kept a few rules, and it was because of this that Lana had met Cole. Okay, Cole Cruz was one of Psoriasis. I don't know how to say his name. I'm just going to say C for short because I don't know how to say this name. Newest staff members. Having given up his teaching position at the university, he'd met Lana on campus a few months prior. He was tall, ambitious, well-dressed. Maeve could see already how it happened, or how it would happen. Yeah, I'm interested in Cole, but that's not saying I'm trying to get involved with the whole thing. Lana sighed, gazing lazily up at the awning of the cafe. She never explicitly expressed the same, that's a lot of alliteration, never explicitly expressed the same aversion to Blanchardism that Maeve had, but neither had she expressed an attraction to it. That was the thing about her. She approached everything with a general policy of disinterest until something caught her attention. We get it. She's smart. She's autistic. She's hyperfixated. She's mutters to herself. She's weird. She's quirky. She's hot. Well, maybe she's hot. I don't know. She got nice style at least. Maeve realized years afterwards, what the fuck are we doing here? What? They had only met Cole, not each other. That they don't, we still don't know who Cole is. We just know some random dude exists. That they had only met as a result of this sporadic curiosity. She was new to the city at the time, searching for a way to earn money that wasn't illegal. Lana found her in the bathroom of someone else's house at a party that neither of them were quite old enough to blend into, but Lana appeared, even from a young age, miles ahead of everyone else. She asked what Maeve was selling first, and who was paying for her to distribute it second. It didn't take long to understand. Lana suggested sharing a flat as if it was as simple as sharing her cigarette. The next day, Maeve moved into the apartment as her roommate Lana was looking for ... I think it's just a typographical error. I think it's just supposed to be one dot. Oh my god, this is just blithering on about Lana that we don't care about. Like, she's a non-character. Lana was deeply intuitively intelligent. We already know. We've heard she's intelligent like 4 different times. Hugely unpredictable. We already know this because we've been told this. Her impulsive nature drew her towards rooms of strangers, random and extravagant purchases, but more than anything, secrets. I think you can find a better way to say this, because I do think that being drawn to secrets is a good core character attribute. Like, if you're going to make a character, everything else is superfluous around this so far. She's attracted to secrets. That's important. Her being, like, smart and quirky, like, that's just the archetype to carry the vessel. Or that's just the vessel that's carrying the payload, right? The payload is that she's attracted to secrets, and that can actually facilitate a plot. The issue here is we neither have secret nor plot. We have no motivations. Cole Cruz, her greatest enigma, his mystery ruling out the fact that he was part of something more sinister than she understood, I guess Blanchardism. Are you seeing him tonight? Maeve asked flatly, and instantly regretted the patency of the question. He'll be here, yes. That's why I'm going. All right, I'm going to start skimming because I'm bored. Pulled into a smile. You already know what I'm going to say. She calls her Lan. That's so cute. She wondered frequently. Lan was blah, blah, blah. See you at home, blah, blah, blah. See you later, blah, blah, blah. Caught a bus home. She's been there for months, blah, blah, blah. Welcome home, Maeve Stark. All residents are required, blah, 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 blah. 1984 shit. Telling, not showing, useless information. Letting herself in. With closed eyes, the world was compressed down into just warmth of the sun in her skin and city sound from below, breezing through the city balcony door. She bathed in the peace for a few moments before, inevitably, the solitude crept in. I'm so bored. How long does this go? It's pretty much over now, actually. All right, I'm going to write up a full critique on this because I think that it's not worth finishing reading. It's the same problems over and over. Like, I'm not going to gain anything, so I'll write it up. Meow. Hello, and welcome back. So, as of now, the critique is done. So, just a quick disclaimer. I am a cat. Okay, I am not an editor, and sometimes I like to just swat my prey around when I pounce on a mouse. So take this for what it's worth, and yeah, I wasn't nice. So here we go. So, oh wait, wrong thing. Oh no, I clicked the wrong thing. All right, so I gave this one a title: Circuitous plot, strange paragraphs, and trite dystopian nuconspiracy. It's surprisingly well written for smoke in the air. It was like a cigarette, but it was suffering the cigarette with non-goth-lesbian action and no built tension. The grammar was strangely fluid, but with random issues with dialogue attribution and paragraphing. So there was like minor issues, mostly with just like the choppiness of it, the function of the semicolons, some dashes. Like it's not terrible. It's not like there's like terrible grammatical problems. There's a couple mostly I think typographical. It could also just be stylistic choice, but I think it's mostly like issue that needs to be fixed. There's also some muddled POV problems where you have confused the narrator with the inner voice of the character, and you can't really do that. So there's some antecedent problem with point of view shifting here. The characters are all but non-existent, and they're completely unmotivated as far as I can tell. There is no identifiable plot or reason to care about these characters, other than they live in 1984 with a government cell phone that reads your fingerprints and restricts your book access. That in itself is a cool premise. It's trite, but it's not a plot, which leads me to the plot. What plot? There isn't a plot. There are several non-characters interacting to get us exactly nowhere fast. There are 3 other mentionable characters, but they are non-characters who aren't even actually present in the scene. They're just being talked about in meta between 2 characters who, again, we don't have a plot and we don't care and we don't understand their dynamic, other than one is probably in love with the other, but that could just be me projecting. So anytime I'm inserting my own random philosophy or characters or memeing about lesbian characters in high school tier romances, it's not a good thing. There is limited subtext to any of this. Most of this should be completely scrapped and turned into what it is: editor's world building notes. From there, a more robust world can be illustrated with verbs, action, and especially dialogue, which didn't service at all to that. I didn't find the characters' discussions very engaging, albeit they weren't completely incoherent either. They just didn't have a purpose. Fish without eyes. They're in a fishbowl, but something is missing. Further than that, the grammar was actually not terrible, which is surprising because usually with these type of structural issues, the grammar is just, oh man, there is no grammar. So I was surprised to see like how advanced the writing itself was, both in construct but also in grammatical form, compared to the serious lack of plot motivation. Like maybe I'm just missing something, but I don't think so. As for the flow and pacing, it's actually decent for a draft. It just didn't accomplish anything. It felt like I was going to a gymnastics meetup, but instead of watching tricks, I just watched people run around on the mat without doing any tricks. The world itself, like the 1984, engine, it has potential, but the characters, again, they need to interact with each other more, and they need to actually have an antagonist or something to stand in their way that needs to be like subverted or overcome, because it just doesn't have that as it stands. Like she's fumbling around with this like dude in the basement, but then like it just resolves itself, and then she's like teleported to her friend, but her friend wasn't there, and like it's possible that I'm just on too many drugs to understand it, but I think that it is gonna need a lot of work. I don't think your writing is terrible. I actually think that the writing itself is rather well formed. But yeah, you need some practice with like the basic construction of story, because you're kind of missing story here. It's like you're not really telling us much other than like you've built a world, you've put some characters who actually aren't terrible into it. They're just still cardboard because you have all this information about them, but we haven't seen them interact. And on that note, I will close off by saying thank you for sharing. If you would like to sign up, please send me a private message wherever you found this advertisement. And yeah, thanks for joining. Let's see if the outro music actually works this time. Oh, it does. That's so cool.